Hi there, welcome to Subpar Stitches. My name is Hillary and this is my Flosstube channel. So it's been a couple weeks. I'm actually filming this a little bit earlier in the week than I typically would because my work schedule got a little bungled. And that's because my transmission in my car blew. And so they're like letting me work from home until my car is fixed, but now it's fixed. So I gotta go in the office this Thursday and Friday. Typically those are my work from home days. So it's a whole thing. So usually I film and edit Thursday, Friday. Today I'm filming on a Wednesday. So you're getting one less day of stitching, but I feel like it's not gonna matter in the grand scheme of things because that day will get covered in the next video. No one cares about all this. So let's just hop right in. This one's probably gonna be pretty short and sweet. I didn't have too many whips. I did have some decent progress though. And so let's just start with FOs because I do have one. It was actually a start and finish. So this year I've decided to do something incredibly stupid and start one new project every single week. And I'm also doing WhipGo for the first time, so you'll see some of that in here too. But this was my start for last week, and I started on Friday and I finished it on a Saturday. And this is Noël en Rouge, and this is the bear sweater. So it's like a little pamphlet that has 4 different sweater patterns, and this one was the bear one. I've already done one of them. My goal is to get all 4 done at some point. There's also a blue version which I might pick up after and then turn them all into ornaments. These are from Lila's Studio, and I stitched this 2/2 on Ivory Jobelin by Witchelt. I obviously didn't iron it, but I don't like Jobelin. Like, I don't like the texture of it. I like a regular even weave, but like for some reason, like Jobelin style, it feels slick and I'm not into it. It's just like a gross feeling. But I bought this, like a few pieces of this from a website that was like going out of business, and they were like $2 a piece or something. So I bought a few to try it out. Don't love it, but I'm using it for these sweaters because I have it. I might as well use it. I might be able to fit one more with some tighter margins on the other side. I'm not quite sure yet. Yeah, I could do it. I could do it. We'll see if I do it. But yeah, so I feel like the polar bears don't totally show up super stark against this, but I also feel like from far away you can kind of tell. It's fine. This is easy to stitch on. But because it is so see-through, like if I hold it like that, you can see straight through it. You can't really travel between stuff, so you gotta be mindful of that. But yeah, that was my one finish. And then I haven't started my new start yet for this week. We'll talk about that in plans. So next we have my whips, and I think I have like 4 to show you guys. And it's amazing how much more free stitching time I have now that I'm not doing my year in stitches. This particular whip is one of my new starts for the year. This one's called Snow Angel, and it is by Rebel Stitcher Design. And this is one that it's all fancy floss. So I'm using the called for fancy floss, but then I'm just using a random piece of fabric that I got from Bestitch Me. When I counted it out, it seems like it's a 32 count. I got it from one of their grab bags, and here is where I was the last time. I actually ended up running out of one of the colors, and so I ended up having to purchase another skein of bamboo. I don't usually stitch 2 strands with fancy floss, so I'm still like learning, how far that goes with 2 strands, because usually I stitch on a smaller count with fancy floss to preserve it, I guess. And also, Classic Colorworks, it's only 5 yards, and I'm used to like the full skeins of DMC, so like I totally underestimated how much I would need there. But here is where he's at now. He does have his nipples in. I mentioned that last time. Chandria from Chandria Carroll, she messaged me and was like, oh my god, the nipples. And I was like, yeah, what's that about? And she was like, he should have had 6. And I was like, no, that's even worse. But yeah, so he's coming in nicely. I started outlining him. You can see, right there is where I ran out of white. And so I haven't been back to it, but I plan on taking this one to work with me since it's fairly small and it will be easy to stitch on. I figured like the white doesn't totally pop in like the most obnoxious way on this fabric, but because the entirety of the Yeti is outlined in this kind of gray-green, I figured it would be totally fine. And there's like some, you can see there's some kind of like patchy holes where there's like some missing stitches in the arms. There's going to be some like detailing in there as well. But yeah, I feel like I got pretty far on him. I did three or 4 days on him, and it won't take much longer to finish him up. I've been using a lot of these Bestitch Me scraps for like smaller projects, and I'm really hoping that she does some of those grab bags again, because I kind of like that. I like getting like the mystery small scrap bags. My second whip, and this is actually one of my Whip Go calls, is my Epic Pokemon Cross Stitch. This one's by Lord Libidin. I'm stitching it on an 18 count white Ada. I believe it's from Kato, but I can't remember. I just remember I hated whoever made it, because I got it out of like a fresh package and the Ada was filthy, and even though I washed it, I couldn't like get some of the grungy stains out of it, but then I was like, well, it's full coverage, so it probably will be fine. So I just left them a bad review on Amazon, and then I stitched on it, and so far it's been fine. But this is the biggest project that I ever have worked on, and will, once completed, it'll be the biggest project I've ever completed. It's like 115,200 stitches, I believe, and I have about 30,000 stitches into it. So I have a little less than 85,000 to go. Can't wait. This is one, though, that I do really want to finish, and I've been struggling with it because I was using a frame, but the frame just wouldn't get taut enough. I just couldn't get it the way I needed it. And then I thought maybe I could use a Nerge hoop. So I bought like the biggest size Nerge hoop specifically for this project. And so far it's been working really well, because I can put it in my stand and my stitching has gone a lot more smoothly with it. It's got like over 100 colors in it, so it is kind of slow going because there are a lot of color changes. But my goal, my Whip Go goal, is to hit 5,000 stitches this month, and I was at 1,000 last night until I realized that I had totally messed up one area, and then I had this frog like 300 or 400, so I was mad about that, and that took forever. But here is where I'm currently working. Here is where I'm at. Everything here and here I had to rip out. You could probably see the ghosts of the holes there. I worked a little bit in here, and then I kind of tried to fill in some of like the excess stitches that I hadn't gotten to up here. I think I have to do like 4,200 more stitches this month on this, but I have a lot of days allocated towards it. And if I do like 500 minimum a day, which won't be that hard for me, I will be able to get the Whip Go goal done. My goal is, every year I'm like, I'm going to finish this year. I don't think I'm going to finish this year, but my goal is to get significant progress this year to set myself up for a finish next year. And then I will decide, do I really want to do the second gen? Because that was the original plan, was to get this one and the second generation done, and then frame them together in like a cool double frame that would probably cost me an arm and a leg. But now I'm like, do I really want to ever do full coverage again? I don't know how people dedicate themselves to full coverage. It's a lot. I don't know why I can work on a billion like little projects, but one giant project is so daunting to me. But I think this is like the second large full coverage I've ever done, and I'm like, whew, it's a lot. But I am really happy with it so far, and these are just holding up the excess roll of fabric. And the back of this looks, I've got hair in my mouth now. The back of this looks like awful, because I'm usually a neat back person, but on this one I'm just like, I'm over it. I'm done. I'm just going to travel as much as I want. So we'll see. You'll probably see this one quite a lot this year if all goes according to plan. Next is Colors of Autumn, which was one of my Whip Go calls. The goal was to finish at least 5 blocks, which I think I did 7. I did 6 and then the better part of a 7th one before I set it down. So this is by Stitch Rovia, and here is where I was the last time. It's being stitched on 40 count fall foliage by Bestitch Me, and I've taken a few liberties with these. I'm doing one for each season, and I have them all kind of going right now at once, just because, I don't know, I like to be chaotic like that. But I've taken some liberties on all the patterns to change some of the blocks that don't pertain to me, because These are like classic British colors of insert season here. So culturally, some of them just don't make sense to me or for me. And I have a couple examples of that stitched up to show you guys now. But I also changed the text to say colors of fall instead of colors of autumn, because I don't really say autumn. I mean, like, I think Americans will use it interchangeably, but typically I would say fall over autumn. So each one is almost like a little swatch, and then it's like some kind of thing that pertains to the season. So we have squash. This one here originally said conkers, but I changed it to chestnuts because we don't say conkers. This one is fallen apples, and I don't know if it's just because I'm doing 1/2 or what. There's supposed to be like a little worm in there, but he's hard to see. We have vegetable soup, jam making, which I really like that one because I used to make jam with my grandma when I was a kid. This is probably my favorite square in the whole thing. This one is cobwebs, and then soggy umbrella, and warm apple cider. And then below soggy umbrellas, it's going to say overcast skies. And this one is actually cheese on toast on the original one, but like, that's not like a thing here. And the reason why I went down one is because this square is half a stitch off. And I realized it when I was like 80% done with it or whatever. And so I was like, well, since it's 40 count and it's only half a stitch, maybe it won't be noticeable. So I made sure to stitch the 2 on the outside and the 1 under it, because I know by the next time I pull this out, I'm going to forget that it's half a stitch off. So I wanted to make sure that I got the placement of those right so that I wouldn't be counting off of the umbrella here and get everything half a stitch off. But I don't think that you can tell. But I figure I would wait till the end, and if I am like still bothered by it, I can just rip out the 1 square and restitch it, and it won't be the end of the world. But yeah, there are 30 blocks, so it's like 5 across and 6 down. So I have quite a ways to go on this one, but this one I think is the furthest along. And once I got chugging along on it, it was pretty easy. They're pretty simple because they are just, small blocks, but they are 18 by 18 squares, so they are still a significant chunk of stitches per block. And for one like this, where it's like solid color, it's not really a big deal. But for like the vegetable soup one, where it's got a bunch of different colors and they're kind of all over, you do have to deal with some of that color changing, time too. And I put each one of the seasons on my Whipco board twice for the year, so these will get a minimum of 10 blocks each this year. But because I was feeling really confident, I went above and beyond and I did a little bit extra on that one. And then my last whip was a little Janlynn kit, and this one's called Will Work for Cookies. I had only had like Santa's little sign the last time you guys saw it, but I sat down and I did, when I was like too tired to really like do anything like significant, I just picked this guy out and put in the reds and the white. There's really not too much left. This is one I'll probably take to work with me as well because it's small and easy to stitch off of. It's a paper pattern, so it does have a ton of backstitch because like every single thing is backstitched around. So I'm going to save the backstitch till the end because I don't feel like doing it right now. The thing is not the backstitching itself, but anchoring down the thread or like anchoring your thread under other threads is hard on this because it's like, it's some plastic, perforated plastic that came with the kit, but it's hard to get the needle under there. So I think I'm going to use a finer needle to backstitch when everything is done. And that kit actually came with like a little roll of wire so you can turn it into an ornament, which is what I plan to do. So those were all of my whips for these past couple of weeks. So I do have a couple of plans. The first plan is obviously to continue working on Pokemon and get to that 5,000 stitch mark so I can cross it off my Whipco board. And then the other one is I do have a new start this week planned, and that will be Oh Christmas Tree, which I have right here. I have a really beautiful Bestitch Me silk that I want to use for this. I know it's like getting towards the end of January. I don't care. I'm going to stitch Christmas when I want to stitch Christmas. I don't like tie seasons down as far as stitching goes or like anything like that. I feel like it's whatever. I'm going to stitch, like, because if I don't start it now, by the time it's Christmas, it won't be done. You know what I mean? It probably won't be done this year anyways. But that's besides the point. And then I also have a pattern for the next weekend called Noella's Christmas Berry, and this is by Just Nan. I found the kit, it was like on the freebie table at StitchCon, so I'm gonna stitch that up. It probably won't take me that long, but after finishing the other two Just Nans that I did, I was like, oh, I kind of want to do another little bitty kind of finish like that. So I will be starting that on like the 23rd or the 24th, and that'll be the start for that week. So like I have a big mix of starts as far as like my weekly start goes. Some are really small, some are bigger. It just kind of whatever I had the stuff for, whatever I had kitted up, and I think I have now like the first 6 months of the year kitted up and ready to go. So I used as much as my stash as I could as far as like fabric goes, and then some of them I had to special order some threads and all that, but for the most part, I was trying to shop my stash as much as possible and get some use out of the fabrics I already have rather than try to buy like exactly what is called for, because otherwise those fabrics are just going to sit there and look pretty in my closet and then I won't have anything to do with them. So yeah, that is the extent of my plans. This is a really short video, but I just feel like I was actually concise for once. So that is going to be it from me. I hope you guys enjoy your stitching, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye.